We're good.
Okay, let's get straight to it. Hello everybody, welcome on to EFL Today with me, Aaron Paul, coming to you from the London Stadium, the home of West Ham United. I've just been here for another game, but I thought I'd do it in the breezy conditions after West Ham's 1-1 draw with Southampton. With me, Joe Jacobson. How are you, pal?
I'm very well, thank you. I'd like to say that I'm in a stadium, but I'm not. I'm in my living room corner cocoon that I've set up.
Nice.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. That's where I get sent.
If you were to name a corner of your living room, you know, like how stands are named at football grounds, who would you name a stand after in your house?
It's got to be Reg, isn't it? Reggie's corner.
No, what, the Reg Jacobson stand, or the Reg end?
The Reg end. The Reg end.
The Reg end. So we're looking back at a busy weekend of Football League action on Good Friday, Easter Friday. Man, it did not disappoint. Where do we start first? I think we should start the fact that Shrewsbury are relegated. Exeter drawing 0-0 with Burton Albion at lunchtime, which means that Shrewsbury's 10-year stay in League One is over. Gareth Ainsworth, our friend, was there earlier in the season, but it's a difficult club to operate in right now, especially with the constraints going on with the ownership and Roland Wycherley, who's a long-term owner, local businessman, looking to offload the football club. It's just been a miserable year.
Yeah, it has, and I feel for it. One of my ex-teams, and as you can see, the shirt behind me is the Shrewsbury shirt I last wore there, and in League One the last time they got relegated, actually. So that's probably not a good thing to put up. But I feel for Roland. Roland's been there for a long time. He's put his heart, his soul, his money, blood, sweat, tears, everything into that football club. He's built it up from nothing to where it is today. And it's like there's expectation now, and the fans want success. And unfortunately, he's just not in a position to keep investing his money into the club. They're looking for foreign investment at the minute. They were linked to an American consortium that fell through quite recently. So the writing's been on the wall this season, isn't it? I think that the recruitment was poor in the summer. They didn't spend a lot of money. They went through Paul Hurst, Gareth Ainsworth, Michael Appleton, and all of a sudden, the first team to be relegated in the EFL this season has happened.
They could have been joined yesterday by Crawley and Cambridge. We'll get onto those later on, but let's start at the top end of the Championship as we review the action from Good Friday. And it was an interesting start, wasn't it, initially, with the staggering of the games. We'll talk about Luton's big win a little bit later on, but Burnley doing the business at Watford. Watford finishing the game with 9 men as well. Don't even understand. And then it was over to Sheffield United in the 5:30 kickoff, beating Cardiff City by 2-0. We'll talk about the ramifications of that one. But Leeds United back on top of the Championship. Manuel Solomon with the only goal of the game as they beat Oxford. And this is what it's about, Joe. Knock out the wings. Doesn't matter how it comes, how it happens. Just pick up the points.
Yeah. Big time for Leeds at the minute, isn't it? Being really consistent. Burnley as well being very consistent. And Sheffield United, that blip, that 3 losses in a row, it's going to cost them automatic promotion, because when they play Burnley on Easter Monday, Burnley, who have not lost a game in 30 matches this season. 30 matches. It's just insane at that level, isn't it?
14 goals.
Again, mental. All of a sudden now, teams are celebrating. On top of that, they've only ever conceded 1 in a game this season. They haven't conceded more than 1 in any game. So, credit to Scott Parker, done an amazing job there. And at the end of the season, it's just about winning. It doesn't matter how you do it. If the opposition have to go down to 9 men like Watford did, just get the wins on the board. And Sheffield United got back to winning ways against a poor Cardiff team. But I think it's going to be too little too late for them.
Just looking at the picture at the top, Sunderland beaten by Bristol City. Sunderland with a man sent off early doors in that one. Trey Hume sent off, 7 minutes into the game. Eliza Mayanda put Sunderland ahead, but then goals from Rob Dickey and Ross McCrory with the win for Bristol City, who are just machining on. Also machining on Coventry City. They were winners. Middlesbrough winners as well. But West Bromwich Albion and Millwall starting to see the brakes put on them. And that picture for the players is getting ever more interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, for me now, it's probably down to Bristol City, Coventry and Middlesbrough. I just don't see how West Brom and Millwall, the form that I mean, Millwall had a good little run of games, but I just think now 6 points with their goal difference as well is going to be too much. And West Brom I'm really disappointed with them. They've had a really good squad. They've got good players there. They just can't put a string of wins together. Coventry and Middlesbrough, how much do you want that to go down to the last day of the season when they play against each other? Could be all to play for, winner takes all, get into the playoffs on the last day. And whoever does win that game is going to go into the playoffs with such high confidence. No one's going to want to play in them. But Bristol City and Sunderland, it's a strange time for them, isn't it, at the minute? They're in the playoffs. They're going to be there. They know that. How do you kind of motivate yourself for the last few games? Because they're already probably thinking about the playoffs.
Very, very tough indeed. Really, really tough. The playoffs going to be really, really interesting this year. Let's talk about a side that could be featuring in the playoffs. Sheffield United beating Cardiff City by 2 goals to now returning to winning ways. But the effect it's having on Cardiff City. Omar Reza, their manager, sacked today. Today is Saturday. I felt like saying it's Sunday, but it is Saturday. Sacked with Aaron Ramsey, club legend, Arsenal legend, General Welsh legend, taking over for the remaining 3 games. This is either going to go horribly right or horribly wrong, Joseph.
I don't think it can go any more wrong than what's going on at the minute. So I just think it's a time where it's just had to happen. I don't know if you saw his interview after the game, and he started being a little bit prickly with the press. I think as soon as you start doing that, you're just clutching, aren't you? Something's going to happen. I think the club have just thought, right, and we need to do something now. I think if they were going to change it, they should have done it 3 or 4 games ago, at least get someone in who's got a little bit of experience. But to get someone like Aaron Ramsey in with Chris Gunter as well, another ex-Cardiff player, local lad, both Cardiff fans as well, for those two to go in, they're going to get the respect of the players just because of the careers they had, and the fans are going to be all behind them because of who they are as well. But they just need to get a result from somewhere, and I feel like they need at least 4 or 5 points, probably 2 wins to stay up, and at the minute I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, Cardiff City on this absolutely miserable run in the league. They lost 1 against Blackburn Rovers away on March the 15th, but otherwise it's kind of like they're at 1 win a month. Do you know what I mean? It's tough. It's been really, really difficult. But this isn't just about this season, Joe. It's about years and years of mismanagement from the owner, Vincent Tan, and his cronies who run the club, be it Ken Chu, be it Mehmet Dalman, that there's all sorts going on at that football club, and it's kind of coming to a head now.
Yeah, look, it's sad for me. I'm a Cardiff boy. I grew up as a Cardiff fan, used to travel home and away to go and watch them play. So it's tough to see, for a period of time, they were the team at the top of the Championship. They got into the Premier League twice. So you feel for the owner in that sense that they have put money into the club. They have invested. They're building a new training ground. They've got a new academy set up. But it's just the decision-making for the players on the pitch. The managers, I think they've just got wrong over the last couple of years. And when you start flirting with the relegation zone for, I think, 3 out of the last 4 years, they've been in and around it as such. Eventually, you just go down that hole, and it's really, really difficult to turn things around. And, I'm still hoping there's enough time for Aaron Ramsey and Chris Gunter and the other coaching staff to turn it around. But I just feel like everyone else down there has got wins in the bank. They may have drawn a couple of games, Cardiff, but the other teams feel like are just winning 1 or 2 games more. And at the minute, for me, they're the team that looks most likely, even more than Plymouth at the minute.
Let's look at the picture down the bottom. Massive win for Luton Town yesterday lunchtime away at relegation rivals Derby, and Milanic Ali with the goal for Matt Bloomfield's side, and that's a huge win. It keeps Luton in the bottom 3. However, they are only there on goal difference. Derby County with 43 points as well. Luton on 43 points, but Luton with that significantly worse goal difference of minus 25 in comparison to the Derby's minus 11. There are also defeats for Hull, Oxford, big win for Portsmouth, but just focusing on that Luton win, they had to win it.
Oh, they had to, especially with the 3 games coming up for them, all against playoff chasing teams. They had to get 3 points away at Derby, and it was a very good, resolute performance from them. They got in front quite early on in the game and just nullified everything Derby threw at them. I was a little bit disappointed with Derby, didn't create too much, but Luton, a great defensive display of grit, determination, everything you'd expect from a Luton Town team. they produced on the weekend. And I think when you look at the fans' reactions, I think that's what they're most proud of, not the way they played football and not, the rotations and the possession. It was just about that grit and determination that Luton are all about. And he's doing a decent job now, Matt Bloomfield, isn't he? There's 1 defeat and 7 for them in the position they're in. And they've got some good momentum going into those last couple of games.
Wins though, Joe.
Well, they do, because they've been on this run and they're still in the relegation zone. That's going to be the only disappointing thing. And you think at the minute that Derby and Hull can still produce wins from nowhere. I think Oxford now are out of it. Portsmouth, I just want to say, John Mousinho, what a job he's done at Portsmouth. And a big shout out to Colby Bishop. Scored a hat-trick on the weekend. Scored a hat-trick, gone through all the divisions from non-league, League 2, League 1, into the Championship. He missed a lot early on in the season with his heart problems, had to have surgery on his heart. He's come back. He's been a huge player for them over the last few years and rewarded with that hat-trick and safety now confirmed for Portsmouth, in my opinion.
Absolutely massive for Pompey. Huge win for them away at Norwich, scoring 5 at Norwich City. They could confirm safety on Monday. They're 6 points clear of the drop zone. Stoke City with a big win as well. Did you see the goal? We've got to talk about this goal that was scored for Stoke City. Ben Wilmot. Look, you know they have that phrase: if it goes in off someone's backside, who cares? It literally did, Joe.
Yeah, I felt for the goalkeeper as well, isn't he? He's a young lad coming to the team, and he was just so keen to start an attack, wasn't he? He's caught the ball from a set piece or a cross come in from Stoke, and he's gone to leather it, and he's leathered it straight at Wilmot's arse, isn't he? And it's just flown in the net, and you could just see everyone around. All the players were like, didn't know whether to celebrate. The defensive players were like almost trying to complain or go to the referee saying that's not allowed, but the referee's like, what do you mean? He just kicked the ball against someone, it flew in the back of the net. So if anyone's not seen that, go and watch that goal, because it's one of those things that you'll see on, like, well, people don't do DVDs anymore at Christmas today.
Bloopers DVD.
A bloopers Christmas DVD, that's going to be on there forever.
Yeah, it is indeed. Elsewhere, defeat for Hull City, beaten 1-0 by Swansea, having a man sent off.
Did you see that goal, though?
What, the Vipotnik penalty?
That's never a penalty. That could cost Hull this season. You must have seen it. It's a half volley, a strike on the edge of the box, and John Egan has dived in front of the ball like a heroic defender. His arm is up in the air, but it hits him square in the face, doesn't it, the ball? It's nowhere near his arm. The referee's angle, he must have thought, oh, his arm's in the air, it's hit him after the appeals from the Swansea players. He gives a penalty, they score a goal, Hull lose 1-0. That could have a massive impact on where Hull finish this season. And you don't want it to go down to a refereeing decision, but these decisions matter. And, they talk about VAR coming into the championship because of the money and things like that. But you ask Ruben Sellis now today, he'll be desperate for it.
If they bring VAR to the EFL, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to retire and take up watching county cricket. Now, why don't you tell people what county cricket is all about?
Well, you went to a county cricket game very recently, didn't you? By accident.
I didn't go to a county cricket game. I was staying in a hotel, which is built into a stadium, and I wasn't actually informed that there was a county cricket match going to be taking place the next morning. And so I woke up, and to my surprise, there was a few thousand people there in the sun watching the cricket.
Cricket's a great game. Cricket's and the World Cup has just recently been in. County cricket. So if you've got a spare 7 or 8 hours and you want to go and watch a really slow-paced sport with a glass of wine and a picnic hamper, go and watch the cricket.
Let me explain what county cricket is to people. It is a huge stadium which is largely empty, watching what they call first-class cricket. Again, as Joe said, with drinks, with food, with wine, and often with newspapers, books, other things. It's basically a day, an opportunity to go and sit somewhere and just sunbathe and enjoy the weather. You can move around the stadium. It's often quite cheap to get into, but it's so tediously boring. And the banter is, it goes on for like 2-3 days.
4 days.
Too long, Joe.
4 days. I know. But I love it. I can sit and watch, not necessarily county cricket, test match. So countries playing. I can sit there watching an England test match game. I did it last summer at Lords in the sun.
Have you been to Glamorgan lately?
Not lately. However, the first time I ever spoke to Gareth Ainsworth when he called me, when he tried to sign me for Wycombe, I was at a T20 cricket match at Sapphire Gardens at Glamorgan, had a phone call, didn't know who it was, answered, it's Gareth Ainsworth, sat there for half an hour chatting to him. Next thing you know, I signed for Wycombe.
Lucky omen for you. If you go back there again, you might get another club in the summer. Into League One, as mentioned, Shrewsbury relegated. Crawley, they drew against the top team, Birmingham City. Carnival atmosphere at Birmingham, but they couldn't pick up 3 points, Chris Davis. I wonder, is that a hangover from last weekend? What is it?
Yeah, there can be a hangover. You know, they got promoted, then they won the league. They had the EFL Trophy final, which they lost and were quite disappointing in that game. The league's done. They're just starting to think about the championship. They're probably booking their holidays. They're probably speaking to the club about taking them on a post-season trip, because that's the new thing to do, isn't it? Get taken to Vegas, and like Wrexham, the videos of Wrexham going around there when Ryan Reynolds is organising big parties in clubs in Vegas. I'm sure Tom Brady will be doing the same for Birmingham City this summer. So they've got an opportunity, though, still to break records. And I feel like that's still a big thing for them. But, you know, unfortunately, for Crawley Town, or not for Crawley Town, they drew at home.
The most concerning thing for me about that game was Crawley shipped goals for fun. They love conceding goals. So for Birmingham to draw a blank against them, something was crucially not right.
Yeah, they haven't been free-flowing, have they, in recent times, Birmingham City? You know, Jay Stansfield, the superstar striker, isn't scoring as freely as he was early on in the season. Alfie May's been quite streaky at times, so he has scored quite a few goals recently, but not too recently. They've missed people like Lyndon Dykes up front. So it's just a case of, I just think they're in that mode at the minute, that the season's done for them. There's nothing else they want to achieve. They wanted to get the double. They won the league. They lost in the final of the EFL Trophy. They're just finishing off the season now. And, you know, there's a full house. They had their guard of honour, didn't they? But it was a bit of a drab event after that.
Absolutely. Where should we go? Do you want to go to the bottom or the top?
The top is getting very, very lively, isn't it? The top end of League One, with Wycombe, with a really, really good win away at Bolton. By the way, defensively, recently, I was reading about they signed Will Norris in January, and since he's come into the club, they've conceded 4 goals from open play since he's been there. And, you know, they've just got very, very solid under Mike Dodds. Haven't scored as many goals as early on in the season, but picking up wins at the right time. And with Wrexham stumbling, drawing at home to Bristol Rovers, who lost, 6 in a row before that? That was a banker, wasn't it, for them to win? Things can change so quickly in football.
He's funny, Mike Dodds came out in his post-match comments and said, you know, it's a great win, yeah, granted. But Monday, if we lose, I'm an idiot again. And that's just what football is all about and what social media is all about. Unfortunately, everyone does have an opinion, but it's tough, isn't it, being a football manager and being involved in the game?
Look, not often do you get an opportunity to go into a football club who are second in the league, fighting for promotion. Normally you take over because the manager's been sacked and they're struggling in the division. But when Matt Bloomfield left to go to Luton, there was an opportunity to go in and kind of just go and get promoted, finish off the job. But that comes with extra pressure as well. And I think he's done a very, very good job. There was a lot of signings in January, and that can sometimes kind of mess things up, mess the continuity of the squad up a little bit. And, you know, he's had to deal with that. Wrexham have been on fire. That Wrexham signed players in January as well, and I think Sam Smith and Jay Rodriguez were very, very clever signings from them. So it has been tough, but they now find themselves with 3 games to go, second in the division. All they've got to do is match Wrexham's results. Both of them play Charlton, who are sitting in 4th at the minute, thinking we've got an outside opportunity here to get into the top 2 if we beat both of those teams. So still everything to play for.
Yeah, that Wrexham draw absolutely shocking against the Bristol Rovers side, who have been so miserable this season and a sleepwalking towards relegation. Let's focus on the teams in the playoffs. It was a big win for Charlton after a win at home against Northampton. Stockport leaving it very, very late to draw 1-1 with Peterborough. Leyton Orient, though, what a game. 3-1 down at home, Leyton Orient against Barnsley. And they go and they win 4-3. And that is what they have been about this season. Never say die attitude. Man, what a game.
What a game. And me and you both spoke to Richie Wellens, didn't we, in the week? And they just want to go out and win games of football. The way he plays, the style he plays with. And they got a striker in Charlie Kelman, who's the top goal scorer in the division. He's been on fire, isn't he, since the turn of the year. Gets another goal.
Does he go to the World Cup with America, the USA, next year?
Look, if Leyton Orient end up getting promoted, either way, he's playing in the Championship, because QPR, a team who struggle for goals, really. I think they're going to get him back in the summer, and he may end up being a starter there next season. I wouldn't be surprised if he's there. They'll be seeing, their fans should be looking at him thinking, we've got a striker who scored 20 goals in the division below. He needs to come back to us. And if he produces that form, then why not? We've seen what Josh Sargent's done in the division, scored a load of goals, plays for the national team. Why can't Charlie Kelman do that as well?
Absolutely. Elsewhere in League One, and Reading beaten, Bolton beaten, Huddersfield beaten as well, and they've sacked their sporting director Mark Cartwright after 2 years in the job, and it feels as though that club's going to go through another transitional period, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it's strange, isn't it? That club should be in the Championship, and then when it did get relegated, they spent money. That club should have been up there with Birmingham this season, and fighting for the Championship, let alone where they are in the division now. They're not going to get into the playoffs, and it's been tough. They got rid of Michael Duff, 6 weeks ago, whatever it was. Brought in John Worthington from the coaching staff, and it's just not inspired, is it? It's not turned out for the best. I think they had enough time to go and get an experienced manager to try and win some games towards the end of the season and get into the playoffs. I think they missed a trick there. It wasn't like a 2 or 3 game interim period. John Worthington has been in there for quite a few games now, and it's not quite turned around as well as Huddersfield would have liked it to have done.
Absolutely. Pushing on, Joe, and let's drop into League Two. Game of the day, absolutely, was at Brunton Park. Carlisle United, who've had a really very, very difficult season indeed, going 3-0 up on league leaders Port Vale. Port Vale pull it back to 3-2. They get a penalty. And Carlisle, there's a famous story. Do you know about the story of Jimmy Glass?
Oh, Jimmy Glass. The whole football world, don't they, knows about Jimmy Glass. He's going to be a hero, isn't he, for forever, because of a goal that he scored that you're going to talk about right now.
How do you know about that?
Jimmy Glass.
Jimmy Glass with the goal that kept Carlisle in the Football League back in 1999, scoring a last-minute goal. That's a West Ham fan. They're just... their team are shit as well. Jimmy Glass with the goal in 1999 after his team, they needed to score against Plymouth, and he did just that, keeping them in the Football League. And my word, I think we saw something very, very similar indeed from the goalkeeper at Carlisle yesterday, Gabe Breeze. What a name!
What a name. You didn't mention then Jimmy Glass is a goalkeeper who came up and scored that goal. Yeah, that's the little detail you forgot.
Sorry, I got distracted by that West Ham fan. Discombobulated me. But Gabe Breeze with the save yesterday, the penalty save, crucial penalty save for Mark Hughes' side, and a massive 3 points, which means that the race for survival carries on. But another damaging defeat for Morecambe, beaten 1-0 at Bromley. 3 defeats on the bounce for them, 3 wins on the bounce for Carlisle. And look, if they win on Monday and Tranmere don't, it's on. It's on.
Well, they play Accrington on Monday, and if they beat Accrington, there's only 3 points between those guys as well. So, look, Carlisle are in a good bit of form. It's taken him a while for Mark Hughes to kind of get his team clicking, but they are doing that right now. And look, if they go in and win 2 or 3 of the next games, then they're going to put themselves in a great position. Accrington had a really good win actually as well, so that's kind of put them in a decent position. But if they lose to Carlisle on Monday, then it's all up for grabs, isn't it? But what's going on at the top? I don't understand it. There's like some voodoo happened to whoever goes top of the table, whoever goes top of that division, isn't it? They just can't win a game after that. I mean, Walsall have done it, Bradford have done it, Port Vale now are doing the same thing, and it's just crazy. No one wants to win that division. And Walsall, 11 games now without a win? I feel like we're doing like a Walsall catch-up every episode we do, but it's 11 games.
Have they won yet? Nope. Well, you've just completely busted open the way I was going to go through it, and I was going to tell everyone that Tranmere play Barrow next, which is going to be a big game because Barrow are a really good side. They've really turned up in the past few weeks and have shown themselves to be a good side. Up the top end, as mentioned, Port Vale beaten by Carlisle United. Doncaster, well, they won 3-0 at Tranmere. Luke Molyneux with a hat-trick. Bradford and Notts County played out a 1-1 draw. But Walsall, drawing 2-2 with Harrogate, they were 2-1 down. You could hear the boos at their ground. It was mad. And then they come back, they pull it back to 2-2. I thought they'd go on and get a winner, but they didn't, Joe. What is going on at that football club?
Just no idea at the minute. It's tough, and it doesn't matter if you're top end of the division or bottom end. Once you're in that losing, not winning kind of mentality, it's really difficult to turn that around. And right now, they're in a real big pickle, aren't they? And Matt Sadler, the manager, who's a young manager who wouldn't have experienced something like this before. And look, a lot of teams, if you're mid-table and you drop down a few places and you haven't won for 10 or 11 games, your job could be under pressure here. But I think because of what he's done early on in the season, he's got that behind him. But it's going to be tough for them to turn this around and try and get any momentum for the playoffs. I still think they've got enough of a gap to be in the playoffs. I don't think they'll end up dropping out, basically because there's no one else who's on that great a form either. But I just think that, Walsall, I don't know what's going to happen to them in the playoffs. What about your lot, by the way? Talking about trying to get wins. What's going on? Why can't you buy a win at the moment?
Can't score, won't score, worrying. Great defence, but just going forward, really, really limited in what we do. And look, go to Gillingham Monday, and Gillingham's going to be tough. We know what Gareth's teams are all about. We'll probably go and get another 0-0 there. And it's just it's worrying going into the playoffs. Just looking at the picture of the playoffs, Grimsby absolutely battered 4-0 at home by Swindon. And that's a damaging defeat because it allows Colchester United at the bottom end just to nudge in at the top and head into the bottom end of the playoffs. Joe, loads to look forward to on Monday. I'm going to be hosting 5 Live Sport around the grounds, which is going to be really, really fun. But what's on your mind this week?
Do you know what I'm looking forward to? And we haven't seen one yet because there hasn't been anyone else promoted apart from Birmingham City, but pitch invasions. Now, I don't know what your take is on pitch invasions. I know sometimes they could be a little bit dangerous at times, but I think the majority of the time I've been involved with them when I've had promotions, they're great fun. They're a bit like you don't know what's going on. There's fans running around you and things like that. And at the end of the season, I saw one in non-league today at Bury when they had a pitch invasion. And I just feel like you don't see that in the Premier League. You can't see that in the Premier League. It just could never happen. But lower leagues, especially in League 1 and 2, start seeing over the next couple of weeks when teams get promoted, you'll see it where the fans are all on the pitch. It's a great day out, and everyone can kind of take a little bit of grass home that they find on the pitch.
You can't take the grass home.
Of course you can.
No,
I've done it before. And I remember being a kid at Ninian Park at Cardiff City when they got promoted, and the first thing you do is you run on a pitch and you just grab a clump of grass. And
but in that day you would never have noticed at Ninian Park because there's barely any grass on the pitch.
Hey, the pitch was very, very good back then. Anyway, what's on your mind this week?
I had something, but I've forgotten what it was.
All right, okay. It's been that type of week.
It has. It's been a very, very long week, a very, very tiring week, Joseph. And that is why I'm going to say thank you to you for joining me on this episode of EFL Today. Great to be alongside you as ever. Thank you to the people at West Ham United for their wonderful hospitality, although they don't know that they've bestowed this hospitality upon me because, I've just come and sat in my seat and just done the show, really. No one's bothered me. So thanks, guys, for not bothering me. And thank you to you for listening. Hope you've had a really safe and restful Easter. Enjoy it. We'll be back early next week to review Bank Holiday Monday football. See you then.